All right, we're live, baby. Let's go ahead and get this stream started. Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with our midweek market update. It is 8:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 11/30/2022. And of course, as always, before we get started, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Okay, so we can jump right in over here. Obviously, we saw Jerome Powell speak today, and amongst other things, he essentially said enough to make the market feel like we're going to get that pivot. So, and by pivot, I mean not a pause, not an actual pivot, not a hard pivot, not a slow pivot, a soft pivot. So essentially, what he said was, hey, we're going to keep increasing rates, but we're going to decrease the rate at which we increase the rates. AKA, we're going to go from 75 to probably 50. So obviously 50 is already priced in. Everyone is expecting 50. Everyone has been expecting 50. So at this point in time, the market took off based on that announcement. But in my opinion, the announcement was already priced in. So, we'll see if this is sticky. Obviously, a lot of stuff is at resistance. We put in new highs on, anything that was near its highs still. Not cycle highs, but, recent highs. So we'll see what happens. But I think the most important thing was essentially the market just basically taking what he said. I don't want to say taking it too seriously or taking it too hard too much. But I don't know. I'm not convinced that this is like a big game changer. I still think there's a good possibility we see Dow Jones new all-time highs by end of year. So basically got a month to do it. But we'll see. I think the market keeps getting ahead of itself on some of this stuff here. Again, everything rallied like 3 to like 10% based on that. Anything, okay? So I'm just not convinced that people are correctly understanding what this slowing of increases means. I think right now, if you're Jerome Powell, literally what you want is for markets to not get completely wrecked, for people to get excited every time you talk, and then for you to do exactly what you're planning on doing. And that's literally what's been happening. He's basically saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And then the market's like, okay. And then he does that. And then the market's like, oh my God, he did it. This is great. I don't know. It's a strange situation, guys. We got to be real careful here. So, we're seeing obviously some risk on situation, but I think this market's getting ahead of itself. We'll see though. A lot of that could be bot algo driven. People are expecting him to be all hawkish, and then essentially all he has to do is not be hawkish, and people get excited. So we see TNX coming down 3.7. Again, what is going on here? The market is essentially getting ahead of the Fed, saying, yeah, sure, you could keep raising rates all you want. Who cares? You're going to be cutting before you know it. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and start cutting for you. And that's where the issue comes in. And Powell actually slipped up in the interview afterwards. And I can't remember the exact wording. I'll have to take a look at it again. But he basically said, whatever we say controls monetary policy. And then he kind of like walked it back and then was like, whatever the market thinks is going to happen kind of like controls monetary policy. So it's almost like back to the old cart leading the horse situation, where the Fed is like pretending like it's in charge, but really the market's in charge. And the Fed just has to keep acting like it's in charge, but really just doing what the market expects. Otherwise, it's like a peek behind the curtain and you realize the Fed actually like doesn't have as much power as you think. So TNX sold off back down at the lows. Obviously, the key area to watch is that 3.58 level. But I don't want to say there's a floor underneath rates, but like the same way there's like the Fed put, there's basically like a rate put as well. If we're going to continue raising rates, if he hikes rates another 50 basis points in December, 2 weeks from now, which seems very likely, I mean, it's impossible for the TNX not to continue going up. I shouldn't say impossible, but it's very unlikely that TNX does not go to the upside if we get another 50 basis point hike. And again, that's like the weakness in TNX results in strength across the board. Same with DXY. So US oil, again, was at the lows, hanging out at the bottom of the channel. Got a nice little bounce there. Essentially trying to push back up. As long as we're in the channel, we're still in the channel. We'll see what happens. A breakdown outside of the channel, get serious. We'll start talking about the 60s. But as long as we're holding at this level, still looks okay for now. So VIX obviously had moved to the upside over the last couple of days. As soon as, the quote-unquote pivot took place, as soon as Powell basically stroked the market, got that blood flowing, had them feeling good, talking about, oh, yeah, we're probably going to slow down these rate hikes soon. Oh, yeah, you could count on 50, maybe 25. I mean, he didn't actually say that, but that's what the market's thinking. They're like, hey, he might even pause. I mean, they're like, this is the last rate hike. He just said it. I don't know. I don't buy it. I think the market's going to realize really quickly that the most important thing, we're so used to these V bottoms, and the second the Fed stops hiking rates, then they're cutting. I don't think that's what's about to happen here. I think that's where the real mispricing is coming from. I think the mispricing is coming from the market thinking that the Fed is going to stop hiking, pause, and then pivot right away. And I think Jerome Powell is clearly saying like, hey, we're going to hold rates here for an extended period of time. So we'll see. We will see. But the VIX come all the way back down to the ascending support, touching that blue line again, at what looks like an ideal entry place if we're going to bounce from this level. Now, if we take out the low right here in yellow, obviously that changes the situation because we have a high, low, lower, high, lower, low. And now we're confirmed basically from what was an uptrend back into the downtrend, which is honestly like my macro view is that we would have an A correction, a B lower high, and then a C correction down here. But I don't know. The timing doesn't seem quite right on this, but it doesn't have to be. So maybe we're ready to just break down from here. So we see what happened with the Dow Jones. So basically we open up, we start to sell off, we're selling off, and then literally, from when Powell speaks, we go from down 0.5% on the day on the Dow Jones to from the low immediately, we just shoot up 3%, 2.95%. And I mean, statistically speaking, the amount of days in an uptrend or a bull market that you have a 3.5% move is extremely, extremely low. So while the Dow Jones is starting to portray itself as if it's going to enter back into a bull market, moves like this do not, it's not likely. I mean, we're building up a bunch of bearish divergence. We basically have a high right here, and then we come up here, put in a higher high with lower momentum on the histogram. And now here we are pushing in a new high again and less energy each time we go up. So does it have to print bearish divergence? Could we just invalidate it and take off to the moon? We definitely could. We definitely could. We do have a hard sell, then a hard buy, then a hard sell, then a hard buy. And this, like we always talk about, is why it's so important to wait till we actually leave the bullish control zone. Because if you would have thought this is a hard sell and that's it, we got to get out, and then we bounce the support line and continue back up, and then you say, okay, now we got a hard sell, we got to get out, and then we bounce and continue back up, keep getting faked out. So you have to wait until we leave the bullish control zone. Obviously, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly. 200 exponential crossing over 200 simple, taking out the previous swing. This is our next resistance right here. Turn on our drawing tool. This was the big one to break through. The next one we have all the way up here, somewhere around like 34.8, 3,500, 1,000. I mean, the monthly is going to close insanely bullish. Here's our weekly, full on V bottom, full on V bottom. And you're like, oh, we were kind of consolidating down for a while. Yeah, I mean, we kind of were, but I mean, this is a pretty intense rip right here over the last couple weeks. And I mean, when we look at this monthly, We went from 821 bear cross looking brutal to, again, V bottom. I mean, the most brutal sell-off candle that we have on the way down here. The most brutal candle that we had selling off here. And then this is our bounce. So, I mean, is the market getting ahead of itself right now? Yeah, I think so. You know I was calling for new highs on Dow Jones by end of year. But, I mean, the market is, in my opinion, it's getting ahead of itself on this move. We're 6.8% off new all-time highs on the Dow Jones right now. That's beautiful. I would love it if we come up here, put in a new all-time high, and then pull a Bitcoin and just dump on everyone's faces. And, just like double top meltdown. So SPY on the daily. I mean, obviously I don't want anybody to like lose their money, but it seems like we're setting up for just this situation where everybody's like, oh yeah, this is it. And then it's like, nah, I'm just kidding. We needed you for liquidity. So nice volume candle coming in on the SPY, breaking through the 200 exponential and simple now. Still a little ways off that swing at like 430. But I mean, looking good, strong uptrend, from the downtrend. If we take out this high right here, our next one up here at 459, I mean, we're starting to build progress here. Even the S&P is starting to look decent right now. Triple Qs, NASDAQ, headed up here to retest the 200 soon, so 305. Again, we saw, nice bounces in these. 2.8% on the day for the Dow, 3.15 for the SPY, 4.56 for the Qs. Russell up 2.74 at the 200s. Again, next target up here at 201 if we keep going to the upside. XLE was pretty weak, looking like it was going to break down. 821 bear cross, looked like it was about to happen in the next day or two. Weakness in the histogram, the Stochs. But, again, nice little rally up here. We don't have any new data for inflation here, so we don't need to look at that one. Let's jump over here and take a look at the DXY. So DXY went slightly lower now since the open. Well, we're basically at the lows, at the 200 exponential, at the 200 simple, building bullish divergence. Probably going to come down here and see a third drive of bullish divergence while we see bearish divergence in the rest of the markets, telling us basically that the moves are unsustainable. So they're less likely to be sticky when we have divergence. Doesn't mean it has to be a complete reversal, only that what we're doing short term is probably not going to last or continue. So back inside the bearish control zone, back to a new low. Not crazy to think we could push down here and test this previous swing. Obviously looking for basically, if we break down below this, it's going to make people think, okay, we're breaking down, we're about to fall off the cliff. Here we go. And then oftentimes on the initial retest of the 200s, that's when we get basically like the short squeeze or the counter trend rally or whatever you want to call it. So that's what I'm looking for now. Basically an entry for that counter trend trade or that dead cat bounce, whatever you want to call it. So Apple had a nice little bounce off of our yellow support here. Again, just holding on to this area, still holding up strong, still looks good. Building some momentum to the upside, still below the 200s though. Apple much weaker than a lot of the other stuff we've been looking at lately. Google still looks terrible. I mean, keep in mind though, 6% move. No, sorry, 5% move on Apple, 6% on Google. Wants to come up here and retest the 200s at like 113. Meta up 7.89% on the day. Just shoot up here trying to save the 821 cross now. All of a sudden doesn't look as bad. Looks like it's coming back up here to close the rest of that gap at 125. Amazon, decent little bounce off the lows. Higher low bounce. Momentum back to the upside. Green histograms. Retesting the 21 and the 786. Again, we still have this gap all the way up here at 110. Amazon trying to come close that 110 gap? Maybe. Magma not looking so bad after Jay Powell got in there and pulled that Superman move. It's like, have no fear. Super Powell is here. And I mean, keep in mind, what does Jay Powell want? He wants inflation, but not too much inflation. He wants the markets to come down, but not too much, only enough to kill the inflation over time. So keep in mind that what he wants is different from what we want. So if Jay Powell can get the job done, and also while he's doing this, while he's tightening, keep the markets from crashing, that's him doing a good job. And I mean, I'm not trying to praise the Fed or anything. I can't stand them. I can't stand central banks, Jay Powell, the whole deal. But the fact of the matter is, you know, if you were giving him a score, well, let's not do that because he would have already failed. He would have flunked out and got expelled from school for failing so badly. I mean, the whole Fed. But if you were going to, you know, score them on the last couple months, how they've done, they basically have, like, you know, saved the markets, had them skyrocket off the lows, you know, 20, 25% for major indices while tightening 75 basis points per meeting for like the entire year. I mean, the dude is an absolute savage. He's a stud, okay? They're going to be making gold statues out of him and putting him up in a museum somewhere where they'll be protected from the anti-statue people of the United States, because now apparently we don't like statues. But that's beside the fact. Oh, yeah, actually, I don't think they could make a statue of him. He doesn't have the right credentials. So what does it come down to? I mean, Jay Powell is killing it. The Fed is killing it. They're doing a phenomenal job. The Dow Jones was down 20-something% from the all-time highs. Okay? And the whole time it's going down, they're pumping 75 basis point hikes nonstop. The fastest quantitative tightening we've ever seen. The most intense level of QT in, you know, global history. And now the Dow Jones is 6% off its highs. Jay Powell is a fucking superhero. He's a goddamn genius. He is the fucking man, okay? If you don't understand that, you're biased. Because he's doing a phenomenal job. If you literally had him write down on a piece of paper what his goal is, he's doing it. Not crash the stock market, aka, what is Jerome Powell's goal? Don't break something and get inflation to come down. And try not to make too many people lose their jobs to where something breaks, to where inflation goes back up because he has to ease. So he's killing it. He's doing a phenomenal job. I mean, honestly, dude deserves a high five. And you know what? A good game. A little smack on the ass as well. So that being said, obviously, Bitcoin skyrocketed to the moon. Just for, you know, reference point, it's doing phenomenally well. I mean, sure, it's been in downtrend for a little while, but I mean, look at this candle. That's almost 5% to the upside. I mean, that's pretty freaking good. I mean, sure, when you look at the actual chart, it doesn't look good, but if we zoom in right here, I mean, look at that. It took out that previous high. That's pretty good. Pretty aggressive candle right there. Now, obviously, if you were going to try to trade this on the daily or anything, it's useless. You can't really do anything when a candle like that happens. If we go down to like shorter time frames, though, you can see the 821 cross confirmed right here. We were literally talking about it in the group, and the targets being the 21 on the daily or the 200s on the 4-hour. And then, I mean, it just shot straight up after that immediately. Consolidated above the 8 on the 4-hour and continued to the upside. It looked like it was going to correct, and then JP stepped in. Saved the crypto markets as well. I mean, he didn't, nothing. There's no saving crypto at this point in time. It's got to just shake out on its own. We're going to find out soon if it sinks or swims. But the 4-hour did come all the way from the bottom of the range, pretty high up to the top of the range. Obviously, you know, we're trying to see this little back test of the 200s. So, you know, a couple percent off here, but 17,460 or 17,900 seem pretty likely at this point in time. If we go back out to the daily, if we get a bull cross on the daily, I know we have 1, 2, 3, and then a dump, but I mean, we can't just be like, oh, every time we try to do it recently, it's failed, so we're not going to try to take a long again. We just stick to the system. I mean, it has a higher probability of failure because we're obviously in a bear market. But, you know, we talked about this a while ago before this big thrust down here. When the 200 simple crosses below the 200 exponential, what do I say? I say it all the time. I'm not going to wait for you guys to say it in chat, but I know that you know what I'm about to say. Is that once the 200 simple crosses above in an uptrend or below in a downtrend, almost always what happens afterwards, or I shouldn't say almost always, there's a very high likelihood that the trend is done in that direction, but that you will go on to put in a new low in the case of the 200 simple crossing below, or a new high in the case of the simple crossing above. So here we see we topped out, we come down, the 200 simple crosses above the 200 exponential. So it looks like we're potentially getting ready. We're losing steam on this trend. Then we come up here, put in a new high, and then we go into a bear market. So now let's look at the same thing that happened right here. 200 simple is above, the 200 exponential is leading. Then the 200 simple comes below, which is literally the opposite of what happened here. 200 simple comes above here. 200 simple comes below here. We then go on to put in a new all-time high. We then go on to put in a new all-time low or cycle low. Now, it doesn't mean that we're done putting in the new cycle low. You know, here even we put in a high, then we kind of consolidate around for a bit. Then we put in a new high after that. So maybe we put in the low, we consolidate around for a bit. Maybe we put in a new lower low still. Maybe we still go to 14. It's definitely still possible. But the fact of the matter is, you know, the momentum of the trend is running out on the daily. We're close to crossing 821 back to the upside. So, you know, obviously that's what happened right here. And then it failed. And we saw that, you know, just straight dump down from basically 21K to 15.7. So, you know, what about all the people that are trapped upside down because this just straight melted down suddenly? Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not trying to be overly bullish right now. I know I start sounding super bullish when I'm talking about Dow Jones at new all-time highs by end of year, you know, certain stocks, markets, etc., you know, transitioning into a bull market, especially a bunch of like, you know, billion and trillion dollar companies, maybe not trillion, $100 billion companies. I know I start sounding like ridiculously bullish, but it's just how the method works. Now, it could fail right now and roll back over, but we have to respect the fact that regardless of what we think's happening, regardless of what we see happening in the actual economy, regardless of what, you know, maybe the numbers this year, I think they said like Black Friday and Cyber Monday, it was like up 2% over last year. But, you know, obviously if inflation is like 6% or 8% or 20%, I mean, the 2% is like, oh yeah, everybody bought 18% less goods, but paid 20% more for them. Like roughly, obviously the math doesn't quite work out. But like, okay, so yeah, we bought a lot less stuff, but we paid a lot more for it. So on paper, it looks good, but it's not actually good. But maybe none of that matters. Who cares? Because it's really just, you know, it's about those earnings. So Bitcoin on the daily, close to the 821 bull cross, bunch of green histograms coming out of the bearish control zone, hard buy signal. I mean, let's fucking go. Backtest 18,787 on the daily. I mean, obviously the target's up here on the 200s eventually. I mean, but just for, I know, and again, I don't mean to be like overly bullish right now, guys. I don't want people starting to get like super bullish and being like, oh my God, this is it. Crypto Trend Trader is always bearish. You know, he just changed his name back from Crypto Trend Hater. So this has got to be the bottom. Just keep it in check for just a little bit. But just keep in mind that these are potential possibilities. So here we have 200 simple cross above 200 exponential. We do not go on to put in a new all-time high in the 2018 peak, 2017 peak, 2018 bear market. We then sell off here. It looks like, you know, here, the 200 simple looks like it's about to cross below, and then it kind of bounces. It looks like it's about to cross below right here. And then finally, as we're melting down, as Fake Toshi and Roger Ver are having their little battle, their little tiff, you know, similar to what we saw with CZ and SBF, you know, the meltdown occurs and we just straight up capitulate. So the 200 exponential ends up getting back below the 200 simple. And then as we're consolidating, you know, and this went on for a long, long time and put in higher lows consistently along the way. And we basically form this ascending triangle where we have a flat resistance right here. You know, and most of you guys are like, yeah, I know, I was there for it. But I know some of you weren't. But we had a clear flat resistance right there in real time watching this take place. We basically bounce off the low, start putting in, you know, a ceiling, come back down higher low, the beginning of a potential uptrend, come up, retest the highs again. And then again, we come back down to the lows. And, you know, this is when I was screaming at the top of my lows. It's time to get in place because we're about to break out through this. And then we literally just shot up like immediately in a single day, in a single candle, from 4,100 to 4,900, like 20% move in a single day. And when we did that, we broke through the 200 exponential and simple at the exact point that the 200 simple is crossing below the 200 exponential. So even though it took a little while for the 200 simple to flip bullish, to flip blue, the rest of the time we're on top of it. The 200 exponential is on top of the 200 simple. So what happens here that throws people off sometimes is part of the step for us to go into a bull market or into a bear market respectively is the 200 exponential and simple to flip and get out of place So as soon as the 200 simple goes below the 200 exponential right here, even before we're up above it, which it happened at the exact same time, that's like two steps happening at once. Suddenly we're above the 200s. Suddenly there's a slope, positive slope on the 200 exponential. Suddenly the 200 exponential is above the 200 simple. So it's like boom, boom, boom. Three like rapid fire events that make us, suddenly get bullish on this trend potentially for a macro. And then after that, you see what happened. 200 simple flips bullish right here. Again, market gets substantially more bullish. We have this little sell back off this back test of support, fat finger, whatever you want to call it. And then after that, it was just off to the races. All right, so let's go back over. I mean, obviously it took some time after that. We had the Rona pullback, whatever. But I mean, we went from 4,000 to 14,000 like pretty damn quick. So what we're seeing take place right now is very, very important, because we see that 200 simple is already below 200 exponential. Now, if we sell off here and just start melting down, sure, the 200 exponential could, it's going to accelerate faster and cross back below it, and we could go deeper, for sure. But it's important just to realize that one of our very, very important steps for the markets has already taken place. So are we just going to shoot back up here and retest the 200s? I wouldn't count on it. I doubt it. Are we going to shoot up here and test 18.5, and then we could start seeing what happens? Now we're talking. Which, it's only another 10% from where we're at right now. It's not crazy to think Bitcoin could move 10%. I think it did like 5 today. Now, the only problem is we flip out to the weekly. We do see the green histogram above the slope line. That's the start. That's the start of, our first step. Obviously, a bunch of green histograms is good. Slope, histogram above the slope line is good. Slope flipping blue is even better. Histogram above the zero line is even better. Leaving the bearish control zone is good. Hard buy soon, coming very soon. Obviously failed right here, but we're trying to take steps in that direction. And we know if we don't get back up here to like 25,000, sometime in the near future, this is going to flip bearish. At some point in time, we will retest 25,000. It's just, do we go a bunch lower first, or do we just go up there? And then on the monthly, I mean, it still looks really bad on the monthly. Oh man, it looks so fucking bad on the monthly. This is like what just happened. That little wick before we close. I mean, that's it, right? I think it's closed. I think the 7 o'clock was the monthly close, right? Yeah, because today, yeah, it says, yep. So yeah, 31 days for this new candle that just opened up, obviously. So yeah, we got this little wick, which is good, but new monthly close. So it's like, hey, how did Bitcoin price action go this month? Oh, pretty good. We just had a little pump up off the lows. Oh, sweet. So like, any other descriptive things? Well, we closed the lowest low of the entire cycle. Oh wait, what? So we're 10% off the lows, but we just closed the lowest monthly low of the entire cycle. We just broke down from key support. They've been holding us up for 5 months straight, and put in a new monthly lower low close with all red histograms, red slope line, bearish control zone, Stokes angle to the downside. Well, that doesn't sound very good. So we got to keep it all in perspective. The fact of the matter is, the close today was a monthly close, and the bulls had all the opportunity in the world to actually do something, and this is what they did. So again, well, at least I'm balancing out how bullish I might have sounded in the beginning. Rightfully so. So Ethereum on the daily, again, close to crossing 821 to the upside. Blue slope line, bunch of green histograms. Pretty aggressive move up here on the knife. Stokes powerfully angled to the upside. Ethereum has had no problem coming up here and testing its 200s. It nailed it right here. It may even want to come back up here and put in, move all the way back to the highs to retest the 200 exponential. And again, 200 simple below the 200 exponential, then we capitulate, not to a new low. So is Ethereum painting that Bitcoin chart saying, hey, that's it, we're done? Ethereum's going back to 1600. Ah, man, it just sounds ridiculous right now. I know I sound crazy saying it, but we have to accept that that's a legitimate possibility. We have to accept there's a legitimate possibility that even if there's not a macro bottom in, regardless, that we could be looking at like 20, 50, 100% moves in the near future, and then go on to put in new lows, or go on to be into a brand new bull market. And we got a soft landing. Powell, was stroking and everything worked out fine. It's possible. It is possible. I know I sound crazy, but come on, guys. Total weekly market cap crypto at the lows. I mean, just pathetic here. 754. So it gained like 60 billion in market cap. Wow. Congratulations, cryptos. It's pathetic. Backtesting previous low below the 200 exponential and simple. Again, we just got to get back above these levels. We need to get $1 trillion back in crypto. Somebody give Michael Saylor a loan so he can buy up some more crypto. I mean, come on, guys. Somebody loan him. Loan him a few billion. Give the guy $1 trillion, man. You know he's good for it. He's just going to put it in digital real estate in Manhattan and then shave it into the future. Didn't you see Superman? They're not making any more land in the metaverse. Oh, wait. Hang on. It doesn't work. The Superman argument does not work in the metaverse. Ethereum looks pretty bad here. New monthly close. Again, how did it go this month? Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. We're up a little bit off the lows. Oh, nice. Nice. How'd the monthly close? Oh, new lowest low. The lowest low that we've closed on the monthly. The whole cycle. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't sound that bad. And you're like, yeah, we just wiped out like the last like 2 years worth of price action. You're like, oh, I mean, it's crypto though, right? So it's just going to higher high eventually. Oh yeah, 100%. For sure. Or zero. There's only two ways this ends for crypto. Either higher highs or zero. And you know what? It's not going to be the same for all of them. Bitcoin dominance on the weekly at the lows. I mean, just pathetic. Just hanging out at the lows. We know this is what it looked like when there was a parabolic bull run going on. And then this was when Bitcoin topped. And then this is when altcoins went parabolic after Bitcoin topped. So we're all the way back down here at the lows again. So the truth is, I mean, Bitcoin may just for the rest of its life forever just lose market cap to all the phenomenal crypto projects and just become slowly but surely irrelevant. Insert sarcastic signs here. Bitcoin dominance minus the stable coins. So again, we're seeing the same thing. You know, people they're going into stable coins, they're going into Bitcoin, and they're coming just a little bit out of altcoins in relation to Bitcoin. So stable coins are keeping the Bitcoin dominance where it's at the lows right here because of stable coins. But without the stable coins, we see Bitcoin is gaining back some of its dominance compared to the altcoins. So, you know, what is that? Well, it's like FTX collapse. So that's one less altcoin you got to worry about. You know, just go down the line. So Chili Cheese Dog looking pretty weak here, especially in comparison to, you know, some of these other cryptos. This thing had been looking real nice for a while. Broke back down, lost to 200 simple now. Looks very close to 200 exponential and simple, flipping bearish. Now, arguably, that's not a good sign, obviously. Losing our support right around here, not a good sign. But every time we've come down to this green line here, we have bounced that as support. So I'm looking for some confluence around the 236, somewhere around like 13 cents for some potential. I mean, would you pay 13 cents for a chili cheese dog? Of course you would. Of course you would. And these are chili cheese dogs in the metaverse. You get a free NFT with each chili cheese dog purchase of 13 cents. Actually, there may be a minimum. You may have to spend $1 to get the NFT. So Solana on the daily. So, I mean, it's a little bit off the lows, so that's good. Let's go out to the monthly and just see what an altcoin looks like on the monthly. Just out of curiosity. Oh, okay. Okay, so we had a pretty strong support, a clear support around this level. And as long as we're holding that support around $30 to $35, everything's fine. It's okay. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. So obviously we broke down pretty hard on that one. So, I mean, this thing's getting brutalized right now. So it did get a little bit off the lows, which is nice. But, I mean, look at the size of this candle. And then look at the little bit of a bounce that we got. So, I mean, honestly, on the Solana on the monthly, and I mean, most cryptos probably look like this, but it looks bad. This Chainlink had a pretty aggressive bounce. Starting to build up some momentum right here. It already tagged the 200 exponential, but I mean, it seems like it wants to head up that way. It wants to flip the 200 simple blue. We got a pretty clear resistance here. I mean, we smashed our head on it like literally 3 times in a row. So, I mean, that's the real area to look out for when we get back up there again, which it looks like we want to, at about $9. That's going to be the real deciding factor. And again, we're talking about another, 20%. Avalanche, again, hanging out at the lows, just looking not good. Again, yeah, just looking rough. So we bounced at 1.236 perfectly. Came back slightly shy of the the previous low down here. Yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, these altcoins are just looking pretty brutal right now. I mean, if Fed really is pivoting and we really are going back to the highs, and just because the Dow Jones is, I mean, crypto obviously looks like a disaster right now. But I mean, if it goes back in a risk on, and you don't think people are going to come in and start buying up trash bag garbage altcoins that are literally scams, you're crazy. Crypto is full of the least. I mean, I don't want to bash crypto investors. Obviously, I'm one of them, and I'm a strong believer in like crypto blockchain long term. But the self-proclaimed term like I'm a degenerate is basically like the truth for crypto. It's like full on like a bunch of degenerates. So if you don't think they would come in and literally buy a scam token after it blows up and melts down for the possibility that it'll go back up, you're crazy. Because I mean, a lot of people are probably chomping at the bit to buy something that's already been proven to be a scam. So they're like, yeah, but it's down 90%. It's gonna bounce, bro. I'm doubling down. I'm all in. I'm dollar cost averaging. Polkadot. I mean, this thing is bad. God, some of these look freaking brutal. This isn't even the worst one either. I mean, it's still got some support back here, right? $4.15. I mean, it's going there. Again, lowest low. I mean, the monthly charts really just give you a whole different perspective. But that's how it works, though. The monthly can look terrible, and then the daily can start looking good, and then a few weeks later, the weekly's looking good, and then finally the monthly starts looking good. And you're like, well, shit, I saw it first on the 4 hour. And you're like, well, you should have saw the 1 hour. And I'm like, man, I was on the 15-minute, and that was bullish 3 days ago. Matic on the daily. Still, I mean, this thing's still holding on pretty strong. It did get a bounce off 200 simple, flipped it bullish, back above the 200 exponential, flipped that bullish. I mean, it technically is like confirming into a bull market right now. The 200 exponential crossed above right here. The 200 simple flip bullish right here. 200 exponential flip bullish right here. I mean, that's a bull market. Okay. Now, granted, let's wait one more day because I don't want you to be like, you son of a bitch. You said it was a bull market and we immediately got rejected and it was literally straight down after that. Okay. So we'll give it one day. All right. So if tomorrow Matic is at or above 91 cents, it will have confirmed into a bull market. I mean, it's really, really close. Really, really close. XRP above the 200 simple. 200 exponential is above the 200 simple. Next move would be to retest the 200 exponential, which is 45 cents. It's also the bottom, the floor from this little like head and shoulders or, distribution pattern, whatever you want to call it right here, before we melt it down. So are we going back to 45 cents on XRP? Yeah, it looks like it. 11, 12% move, something like that. ADA, Cardano. Oh my gosh. How is this thing so bad? Oh, Charles. 0.5 is at 23 cents. We're at 31 right now. I mean, there's no way that the other cryptos can go up and then Cardano, the people's choice, melts down, right? Flipping the slope line blue, bunch of green histograms, hard buy signal, back above the 8, wants to retest the 21. Cardano going to 32.6 cents. Yeah, probably. And then after that, I mean, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. 33.75. We got the back test at 43 cents, then straight to $4, and everybody's a winner. Wow, okay, maybe there's some steps in between. Let's go. Cardano actually looks really bad, so. BNB hanging on for now. Below the 200 exponential, above the 200 simple. Trying to flip on blue. Just ping-ponging around here. Whichever direction this goes in, and probably is going to align with the rest of the crypto market, this thing is going to go nuts in one direction or the other. It's going to go either absolutely parabolic or it's going to absolutely melt down. I don't know which one it's going to do, though, honestly, guys. But, I mean, if the pivot happened, If we got that pivot, that soft pivot, Jay Pizzle said he's going to prop us up, okay? He said, you know what, baby? Risk on. He said, whatever the trashiest thing you've ever owned is, he said, lever up, baby, because we're going to the moon. I mean, that's what the market heard. We heard what Jerome Powell said. The market heard what I just said. So gold, XAU, obviously, a nice little bounce right here. Back above the 200 exponential. Really wants to test that 200 simple, 1795, 1800. And that's also this previous high. So again, you know, we're going to see real soon with a lot of this stuff. We're either literally about to flip a bunch of bear markets back into bull markets, or we're about to get rejected violently. And either way, there's going to be a ton of opportunity. I don't really have a technical bias right now. I mean, technically the bias should be to the downside because most of these things are in bear markets. But, I mean, a couple days, couple weeks, by like mid-January, we're going to know it's either like raging bull market time or like something broke. Because let me tell you right now, if we start melting back down again and go to new lows, the market is not going to be ready for that. Maybe that's what breaks it. Silver, not bad. Nice little move off the lows right here. Back above the 200 exponential and simple. Retesting the previous high. Again, long-term time frames look terrible, but there's also a lot of resistance right here for silver. It's going to be tough for silver to get above like $23. So silver junior retesting the 200s. Lots of potential for continuation on this one. Obviously about almost halfway on the trade setup there. GSCI. So this thing had lost support, but still was at a higher low and then shot straight back up to retest the 200s. Got to be real careful with these things. We'll see if these moves are sticky. I wish we had the probability, like, or the percentage, like, of times when the market jumped after Fed Powell spoke and then we melted down afterwards. Like in the next, like, week or whatever. LNG push back up here pretty aggressively. The 821 cross back to the upside. Again, looks like it's coming back up here to new cycle highs, new all-time highs. MOS, Mosaic, again, was melting down here, coming back down to retest support. Immediately shot back up to 200. Close there. Does it want to go to 55, 60? You know, blue slope line, building momentum on top of the, well, at the zero, but on top of the slope. Yeah, we'll see. URNM, you know, hanging out in this zone still. Nice little bounce off of J. Powell, Superman. CCJ, same thing. Nothing really changing on these. Tilray looking like it was about to get that bear cross, and then boom, off that support line, off that J. Powell pivot. He must have been passing out J's backstage. He's like, have yourself a Powell, if you know what I'm saying. Get it? Because the J Powell. Holy shit, that was bad. UNH, United Health Group, a full-on green candle party up in this shit. And I mean, we're not talking about some little bitch company, okay? We're not talking about some little $2 holla, some little micro cap, okay? We're talking about a $500 billion company. A $500 billion company just threw itself a little siesta based on J. Powell and the soft pivot. 3.74%. Not bad. Arguably the most powerful man on earth. That he can move $500 billion companies at the whim, at his whim. The man is a savage. Bow down before him. They will build golden idols of J. Powell. Because he's the fucking man. He is the man. The man that soft landed the worst economy, I mean the best economy in history. Kept everybody employed. Stopped inflation. Almost on the first try-ish. Kinda. After letting it rage for like a year. Yeah, he's a golden god. I mean, I'm surprised he's even a mere mortal. He might not even be. He could have been created by Elon Musk, and he's actually a cyborg. But yeah, I mean, UNH, this ain't no bitch. The biggest company in the Dow Jones by market cap, and Jay Powell just skyrocketed back to the upside. And we know what's getting ready to happen. We know what's getting ready to happen. I mean, and when I say no, I mean it doesn't have to actually happen, but the probability is getting bigger by the day. If this thing breaks out, which it's at resistance right now, we're talking about measure move. And I mean, you can do it a lot of different ways. You can do aggressive measure move, conservative measure move. But I mean, we're talking about party time. What's another 14% of $500 billion? What is that? 70 billion? Jerome Powell's like, oh, UNH, you want a couple billion? How about 70 billion? Ooh, pump it, JP. I mean, look, guys, I'm trying not to get excited about potential to flip back into bull markets. You guys know how I do it. I try to keep the emotions out of it. But that's at 1.618. That's that Fibonacci extension. That's the dirty girl target right there. Jay Powell's setting it up, okay? You could think maybe he's an investor in these markets. I'm starting to think Jay Powell's trying to pump his own bags up. I think I like him even more. Ooh, he's oozing with corruption. Jay Powell's got me excited, guys. How you feeling about new bull runs about to start? How you feeling about new all-time highs across the board, except for crypto? It's pretty trashy, but in the actual stock market, and a very small sector in the stock market also. A couple sectors, but yeah, actually, like, if we get excited, but I feel like we're just looking at the good charts. And it's like, what about the other 962,000 charts that look like trash? Goldman Sachs. Let's go. Bull market confirmed. Bull market confirmed. I mean, since this confirmed into the bull market, Goldman Sachs is up 20%. Off of the lows, Goldman Sachs is up 40%. So if we know what happens when this bull market confirms, and notice here, 200 exponential crosses above, price action above, both flip bullish, send it. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so what happened right here on Home Depot? Depot nasty. We were talking about, you know, the potential to get the pullback to 200s here. 200 exponential already flipping, crossing above the 200 simple. 200 simple almost flat. Big volume coming in. I mean, this thing looked like it was about to melt back down. Instead, boop, 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 boop. Hit that Mario Super Mushroom. W, double bottom. Measure move to the upside. If it does pull back lower, potential lower entry. But, I mean, at this point in time, Jay Powell doing us favors. I mean, he's going to go down in history as a legend. He is the man. So 0.5 retest right here. Cycle low retest right here. 0.5 retest right here. So I don't know. Maybe we go down to 382. Maybe we do get down here lower. But I mean, if we break out right here, it's going to get juicy. 27% upside. 36% upside. Enter at your own risk. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly. If you listen to anything I say on the stream, you will end up living in a van down by the river. Full stop. MDO. McDonald's. Not looking so hot right here, okay? I don't know what happened with McDonald's, all right? Apparently, they're not serving up brisket on the Eiffel Tower, so to speak. Whatever that means. 821 bear cross in full effect. Looks like it's coming down here. I mean, there's still a bunch of support all through here, though. This whole little zone. So, yeah, it looks okay. I mean, it looks much weaker than pretty much all the rest of the stocks in the, top of the Dow. Top of the Dow to, yeah. Probably come down here at least to like 250. I mean, but it doesn't get much juicier than this up and to the right. Amgen. So obviously, again, we're seeing what's happening right here. Another potential measure move break to the upside. It's like halfway there already. Little gap right here. Try to come down and fill it. And then it's like, you know what? Powell said, we're going to the moon. You would expect a bounce at this point in time too, as the histogram kind of intersects with the slope line. And we attempt to not flip this into a bear market, which so far is working. It's working well. This is a little more like typically what you would see you know, when you're flipping into a bull market from a bear market, you might kind of bounce around, retest it a couple times, and then you see, okay, it is a higher low. And then finally it's like, now let's go. We don't typically see like the V bottom situation we see in a lot of these things. So Microsoft, I mean, look at this. You think Bill Gates and Powell are in it together? He was like, pump it up, Powell. Do your boy a favor. I'll make you a little cyborg that'll keep you happy. $1.9 trillion company. So not bad, right? 1.9 trillion market cap. He was like, hey, Powell, you think you could pad my bags up a little bit? Throw me a little 6%. A little 6%. Okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, Powell. Okay. It is backtesting support, still below the 200s, but I mean, looks like it wants to come up here. Now, obviously, after a move like this, you know, we're going straight to the moon. Let's be real. We got some descending resistance along the way. We could extend it out here a little bit. I mean, how did I just have it? I feel like that's how it should go, but is that like, is it only because we just had that candle that it looks like it lines up perfectly there though? Because that's where I had it already, and then we just extended it out. Doesn't look like luck. So yeah, and we got some resistance right there, resistance right there, resistance right there. After this little cluster of resistance though, after the trade setup plays out, you know, and that pump it up 23% finishes. We'll see what happens after that. But I mean, probably just going to go straight into a bull market and new all-time highs. Oh no, we'll never see Caterpillar again. Caterpillar just went to zero. Visa is next. Visa at that resistance above the 200 exponential. 200 exponential is blue. Trying to cross above the 200 simple. 200 simple is flat. About to flip into a bull market. Jay Powell said, here you go, Visa. 3.8%. You're welcome. Holla holla bill, yo. So, I mean, this is it. We're at resistance. If you're like, oh, where do we got to get past? And then, you know, let's go. I mean, this is it. We're there. If we get past this now, it's like up to, I mean, we might as well just be like back to all-time highs, right? Obviously, 16%. Thanks, Jay Powell. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Honeywell International. Ham company, the biggest ham company in the United States. Yeah, I mean, what is this? A W, double bottom, breakout, confirm move, measure move, back to new all-time highs, and then after that, to the moon. We're losing a little bit of momentum here. I mean, but we did literally just go straight up. You know, and again, I mean, we're not talking about little companies. 31% off the low. I mean, $147 billion company. So it was worth $100 billion. Now it's worth $150 billion. You're welcome. Thanks, Jay Powell. Traveler company, breakout, new highs. Let's go. Ready to roll. Got to be careful of bearish divergence. This thing needs to like just slow grind up. I mean, it can go straight up, but it has to do it for a while. Or it can just slowly grind up. Or it could just go sideways and let the momentum catch up to it. I mean, but this one looks super, super sus to print bearish divergence. Worse than a lot of the other stuff. Deer fighting to get through there. Again, we're looking for that gap fill, but honestly, if you come back down on that gap fill, I mean, you just take the risk-reward setup's pretty nice here. 5-to-1 risk-reward, 7.8% stop. We come back down here, break. 200 exponential about to cross above. We might not even get a chance. This might be that breakaway gap. I'll see you never. Lululemon, so we talked about this. Looking all nasty, breaking above the 200 exponential and simple. 200 exponential, flip blue. 200 simple, flip blue. 200 exponential above the 200 simple. Broke through the descending resistance right here. Is this sweatpants manufacturer exclusively carried at Walmart? Getting ready to go into a bull market? Arguably already in a bull market? Getting ready to complete this trade setup for a massive 50% upside? Seems like it. Seems like it. I think they make hoodies too, and they may make socks. So, I mean, I know I say like, oh, it's all sweatpants, but I mean, there may even be yoga pants in there too. I mean, it's not. Jean shorts, I believe, is a key staple in their line as well. A little retro stuff. So UUP, okay, we talked about this dollar trade right here, you know, on the potential bounce off the 200s. You know what I would love to see is with this little pump it up that we got lately, I would love to see this break to a new low and actually hit the 200 exponential and simple on top of, printing some bullish divergence here. So another new low. I mean, it didn't technically print bullish divergence yet, but another new low, and it's pretty much going to. Hard buy, still in the bearish control zone though. We know obviously we need to be patient, wait for the exit. Very, very close. We need to wait for that exit, but I mean, this is perfect. Honestly, if you were like, hey, what's the best way to get everybody on the wrong side of this trade? And then we can just squeeze them like an orange and just get that liquidity out. Just grab that juice and then just drink up their souls, aka take all their money. I would do this. Literally what's happening right now in the markets. I would literally do exactly what's happening right now. So we'll see. We shall see. As long as DXY and TNX are weak, everything else is going to keep raging as we see. And I mean, at this point in time, I mean, we're not just kind of having like dead cat bounces and just kind of like there's a couple bull signs. I mean, we're legitimately flipping a bunch of markets back into a bull market. So if you're still like full on bearish on these markets, convinced they're going lower, you got to step back and reevaluate at this point in time, in my opinion, and just look at what is the possibility. And don't look at fundamentals and say like, oh, well, because of the fundamentals, there's no way we can go to no. Just sit back and think, okay, without actually understanding why, or even if you do have to understand why, understand that there's a distinct possibility that we could legitimately be going back into a bull market full-on melt-up. I talked a little bit about it lately, but as the dollar is getting weaker and Wall stocks are still down substantially from their highs, a lot of foreign investment money is going to flow. And when I say flow, I'm talking about pour. I'm talking about the heavy flow back into the United States investment. 1, for safety. 2, because DXY may strengthen again going into the future. 3, all of a sudden the exchange rate is very beneficial in comparison to like the relative like last year or so, as are the stock prices. There's a strong argument that the melt up, at least in the US stock market, is getting ready to happen. Now we'll have to look at some of the other markets out there that don't benefit from the weakness in the dollar in the same way. Now they do to some degree, but like if you're okay, let's say you were thinking about investing in Brazil. If you live in the United States and the dollar's weak, it's less beneficial to invest in Brazil. If you live in the United States and the dollar's weak, but everybody else is investing in the United States, whatever you invest in is going to do well. So the markets go up even if the dollar goes down. So it balances. As where if you're a foreign investor and you're thinking, oh, I might invest in Brazil. Well, nobody else is investing in Brazil because, the dollar is weak. And that doesn't benefit you investing in Brazil. Then it benefits you investing in United States. So, in my opinion, there's a strong, strong argument for the U.S. stock markets being way stronger than they should, while the dollar continues to correct. But I mean, realistically, DXY and VIX probably going to have some kind of pretty aggressive dead cat bounce here very, very soon. I would absolutely love to see a new low, print bullish divergence rather, and then we can look for that next big leg up. But yeah, I think that's it. We looked at everything, didn't we? Yeah, we made it to the end. Nice quick one. What was that? 59 minutes. Wow. Like a goddamn mechanic. You know how we did it too? It's because of the misclick. It's because we deleted Caterpillar from the mortal realms. Arturo says, Crypto Trend Trader, do you think the Powell news stoking the market helped with the current bullish sentiment in Bitcoin? I don't know. Is there bullish sentiment in Bitcoin? I don't really know. I don't have social media and I didn't really watch any crypto stuff today or whatever. But yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, if everybody thinks that Powell pivoted, aka the soft pivot, aka the slowdown of the rate hikes, yeah, I definitely think that helps sentiment. Because if you know that in order for trash cryptos to actually be in a bull market or even not just continue melting down, if you know that for a fact, which we do, we know that crypto is trash for sure, based on the charts, not fundamentals. The charts look like trash. So based on that, we know they're going to keep melting down until it's a risk-on environment. And if crypto is like literally like the furthest out in the risk curve. You know, it's like that, and NFTs are like the most extreme form of crypto. Yeah, I definitely think it helped with the bullish sentiment. I mean, because the idea is basically if the Fed is tightening, it's risk off. If the Fed is easing, it's risk on. So the Fed is definitely still tightening, so it should be risk off. But the idea of the pivot is basically saying, oh, it's a bottom. We're front running the bottom in the economy by purchasing into the bottom of the markets, or creating the bottom in the markets. So yeah, I definitely think that is a possibility. I mean, it's not even a possibility. It's a fact. It's definitely contributing for sure. For sure. Powell exit trade speech, says Lazy Boy. Yeah, he's probably just trying to dump all his stocks. He's like, yeah. He's like, we're for sure pivoting 50% in December. You can count on it. December comes, 100 basis points. Hexavolve says crypto is dead. ... Pokes a stick. ... Nope, it's dead. Yeah, pretty much, man. All right. Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. So I appreciate everybody tuning in today. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Obviously, the little, I mean, it wasn't like a full on like Powell Fed press conference, but, you know, sort of the equivalence to it. I mean, the questions were total joke, like softball questions. I love the one where it was like, tell us describe in the best words of what your day is like from when you wake up until how your day goes. I'm like, what the fucking retard did I just hear? What the fuck? Are you a kindergartner? Is that your question? Jerome Powell, I know you're only going to answer a couple questions today, and the whole entire world and trillions of dollars are literally sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for what you say. What does your morning look like, and how do you take your coffee? That's all. Thank you. What the fuck? I mean, even Jerome Powell was like, shut up, you fucking retard. Did you hear what he said? He literally looks straight in the eyes and says with his eyes, you're a fucking retard. Escort this person out of here right now for being so fucking stupid. I mean, what in God's name? He was like, well, I wake up and then I work, I read the newspaper and research, and then I work some more. What the fucking retards? God damn. What is your average day like? All right, I'm getting out of here. I know, right, J-Hoff? It was like so ridiculous. Hexaval says I listen live. I mean, I wouldn't miss it for the world. Are you kidding me? I thought that was amazing. It's like full-on comedy relief. I feel like in the future, people will like look back at like these key moments in history, and they'll just, well, I mean, you guys know exactly what they'll say because I say it all the time. They'll be like, what the fucking retards? We deserve everything bad that happens to us. That's an absolute fact. But that's it for today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the stream. I'm going to cut it off there. I'll see you guys on Friday for our Friday morning market update, wrap up rather. Obviously, none of this financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly. Crypto Trend Trader with our midweek market update. It is 9:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 11/30/2022. And I'm out of here. Oh, and first day of December tomorrow. So first day of the new month, baby.